Hello, hello, hello. I did push another
Hello.
intro and it didn't work, so we're live. Woohoo.
Easy tigers?
No, Sherry, I was not doing my hair. Come on, what are you talking about? Nothing to do with the hair. It was all Paul with his sunglasses. That's what it was. How is everyone? Hello, hello. Thanks for joining.
Cleaning them.
Yeah, exactly right. Here we go. He's cleaning
it was me. It was all Bernie's
oh,
fault. I'll take the truth bomb. It's always me running on Bernie time.
Always.
But we're here and we're live, and we've got the amazing Paul Cook along with Campbell and myself, and we did a episode about 2 years ago now, Paul, if not longer. Right when I was first starting out, you had been doing YouTube for a few months, but you're only at a couple thousand, I think, back then, where I sadly am now. But now you're almost at 50,000, catching up to Campbell. Campbell's at 67,000 because YouTube put him in the penalty box there for a couple months and didn't let. Did we lose Campbell? Campbell, you look frozen. Are you there, brother?
You see, musical chairs, isn't it?
Murphy's Law, technical issues. We tried working them all out, and now we have a frozen Campbell. So while we wait for Campbell to get back, I'll try playing the intro that was supposed to play when we started. Be right back.
Every city basically was a star city. It had these stars around them, but they were all walled, but also somatic shapes. These are the moats, we're told, right? Because we're all taught that castles and, were these square buildings with a moat. But when we can see them from above, there's these intricate somatic patterns, and clearly you can see why we call them star forts, because they look like stars.
So here's one in Portugal, one of the star forts, the huge amount of terraforming around it. Amazingly, this one is still in pretty much pristine condition compared to the destruction of most of the ones you find today.
Piano notes. As you can see, these are all somatic. A sharp, B, C, and they're all these somatic shapes. These are cathedral windows, this line here. These are, rose windows, all in cathedrals, and these are somatic patterns, which are created through frequency, so either harmonics or intention. Down here we have, this is our DNA, so these are fractals or somatic patterns of our DNA. This is what we get when it's good intention. We get these perfect, geometrical shapes, and when it's bad intention, we get this goo. So this is like a polluted river, and this is like a clean river. And so if we tie this back to the cathedrals that have got these windows, and they're connected to the ether with all these spires, and then what else do we have in cathedrals but these things called organs, right? I mean, we have these things called organs in our body, and the DNA, somatic is the same as some frequencies in these windows. So what this is all looking like is these are healing factories, or not even healing, wellness, I guess, just to keep people well. They're pumping out frequencies.
You can literally Google any city of the old world from the 1600s and back, and it will come up in these star fort shapes, and every single one is like Venice, and there's canals everywhere. Those were the highways of the time, but they were also so much more, with all of like this hidden technology, infrastructure, and buried history.
And you can see this one again, always these big cathedrals in the cities, but here's one of the stars, right, or batteries attached into the wall. And there's even another one of these more sort of irregular shaped ones out here, but they always have these stars attached, to these star cities. And again, the canals, and you can see this is a big island kind of thing as well. But the thing is with water's free energy. You float a boat, you use the current, right? The current.
How about the water wheel? What are water wheels? Water wheels are harnessing electrical power. Electricity just as much as it was the physical power and mechanical power that they used out of it. What's to say that windmills and water wheels weren't actually generating hydroelectric and wind power a few 500 years ago.
This is a drawing. This is New York City, right? Battery Park is because this is what was there. A
battery.
I always forget that one ends so abruptly.
I need to get better endings, don't I? God, I know, right?
Oh,
yes,
right.
I froze, right? Of course, but I'm back. I'm back. The internet decided to drop
Guess
out.
who's back? Back
So
again.
how about everyone in chat? Two Buffalo Bills go
Back
around the
again.
outside.
110 people watching right now. There's a little
All
bit
right,
of
thank you for
issues
being here.
scheduling because we got Paul in Essex, United Kingdom, Campbell in Perth, Australia, and myself in Alberta, Canada. So 14 hours of difference with Paul right smack in the middle at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. there for you now, brother.
It's 8 a.m.
The time. 8 a.m. There you go. 3:34 p.m. here. What's it where you are? 1 a.m.
Yep, 1:30 a.m.
Bernie got the short end.
It's okay. I'm a nocturnal, and then Paul is a morning riser, and that's probably why you're able to go on so many expeditions and explore all the places that you do. Everybody here probably already knows Paul and his great work in his channel. Do you want to tell us a little bit of what you've been doing recently and the trips you've got planned, Paul?
Yeah, well, I've decided to take it into my own hands recently and start going out and finding what's going on outside. So I've been to I've literally just been going around England at the moment because obviously the all the shenanigans going on. But with what I've learned so far from being in the community, I've took that knowledge and I've started going to certain areas and I've been discovering proper ancient sites, hidden sites. A lot of them are in nature reserves, a couple are in quarries, and another thing that's something else. Another thing I've been doing is learning geopolymer. That's another thing I've been doing. I've actually brought some with me today. You won't be able to see it at the minute. This is what I've got left because I've been smashing it up and going through all sorts of tests with it. This is the last. This is. I don't know. The camera's crap. But yeah.
We're able to see it a bit. It's got like a leaf imprint on it.
Yeah, look.
Yeah. So it's cement, like
hard no cement, no cement
cement
at all. No cement at all.
So
that's granite.
No cement. So what? Lime or? Has it got lime?
This is calcium hydroxide, water glass, calcium hydroxide, water glass, and sorry, mate, I've been up about an hour. Calcium hydroxide, water glass. Oh, and granite. It's just them three things. It's just them three things.
So it's
as strong as concrete.
It's not. It's this one's not as strong as granite that you'd see at the pyramids, but this is extremely strong.
Yeah.
Like you can't break this in your hand. This ain't gonna break.
Crazy.
But if you put a hammer to it, it probably will break. The first one I made, this one here, I've put it in this little bag, but it falls apart. That's why it's in the bag. Like you can break this apart. This one here.
Okay, wow. So those both are samples that you've made yourself.
Yeah. But this one here is rock solid. No pun.
That is impressive. Wow. So was it granite powder then, or sand that you mixed in there? Is what you're saying with the?
Basically, you have to have a granite, but you have to have a binder, and you have to have the aggregates. The binder was the granite, and the aggregates was the granite. But with the binder, it had to be pure granite dust. And the way I did that, I literally just smashed it up with a hammer, and then I sieved it through, and then the bits that fell through the sieve, I put in my NutriBullet, and it come out like talcum powder. And then I mixed that together, and added the aggregates and the water glass, and then I put it into the mold, and I'll come out with this.
That is amazing.
The thing is, this one was made about a month ago, and this has turned out to be so strong. But it's not granite. Like, I'm an honest guy. It's not granite in Egypt, but it's very strong. And this is the one I made by mistake. I was just showing my friends. I was just pouring the ingredients in like nothing, and this come out the best one so far.
Isn't that just the way it always works, though?
Always, mate. And this here, if you can see this is just glass and calcium. This is just glass and shells stuck together like glue. And it is rock. This is down, or? No, I've done the same sort of process. So, calcium carbonate, which is the shells, I just broke them down and added that to water glass. That's all that is. And this is, if you hit this with a hammer, it ain't going to break.
So what's water glass? What's water
so
glass?
This is just like binder. This is just like a binder glue together without the stone in it. Which is quite
Campbell's asking
so
what
water
exactly
glass
water glass is.
like
Is that...
Now, water glass is sodium silicate.
Okay, sodium silicate. Okay, so
it's
also like a sodium.
No, it's not. Sorry, it's not powder form, Cam. It's water. It's glass. It's liquid.
Oh, it's liquid.
Okay.
Yeah, like so. Basically, it's right. It's literally when it dries out, when it cures, it's glass. You can smash it.
So similar kind of to like the resin epoxy.
No. It's completely different thing. Completely different thing. Water glass and resin.
They don't.
Yeah, sodium silicate. I think when I looked into it, it's made from sand, but it's put into a liquid form, and it's clear liquid. And that's what I use. And that's if you can see here. I don't know if the layer of glass here, because where I put it in the mold, the glass went to the top naturally.
Yeah.
Because you can see the glass here.
You got all the shells in it. So, did you get these recipes from an old book?
No, I've got these recipes from a guy. I'm not allowed to say his name really, so we had just agreed to call him Mr. X. He's I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. No. But his family member basically worked very high up, repairing geopolymer structures around the world for very high up people.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
An actual insider sort of access to the what they're doing with it. And for those that don't know, a lot of the research that Paul has done is going and analyzing these ancient megalithic stones, blocks, and sites, and come to the determination that they're not necessarily bricks that were, or blocks that were carved and taken from quarries, but rather that it's a technology that was poured, assembled, and molded, right? Like sculpted, as opposed to actually having to chop down a mountain, carve it down, carry it, and build it up. It's similar-ish to cement, sort of, right? Like it's not at all cement, but geopolymer is kind of like a similar, like taking fine sand stuff, mixing it with the liquid, having it bond together, and then solidify.
It's a chemical reaction. That's the difference. It's a chemical reaction that sets it off. It cures. It's the chemical reaction that makes it so hard. That's what it is. But going back to the quarry business, a lot of people that are against this say that the stones have been found to come from quarries, like say Egypt, and the stone comes from Aswan. And they're saying it can't be geopolymer because the stones have been identified in Aswan. Well, the argument for that is it's common sense. You have to break that stone down and then transport it. Do you get me? So that stone did come from Aswan. Yeah. It just got made down in the dust and then brought to where it needs to be made, to molded.
And it just makes so much more sense, because so many of like the cathedrals and like the columns, Corinthian columns, stuff like that we see that look like they're made of this crazy marble and granite. And then you've shown, we've looked at several videos, Campbell and I, where it's chipped off and then it's like brick or like concrete or all sorts of other things underneath it. But
it's all facading,
Like,
yeah, it's just it's a front, it's a facade. And the stuff you're talking about there is called scagliola, and it's an imitation of marble.
That's the marble stuff. Yeah. And they use that on the pillars. And this is what we're learning is a lot of these places where we're going, how the hell do you get a piece of marble that big and that flat? It's because it's not. It's just been,
and how do you carve out a cylinder in a bit of marble? You know.
Yeah,
but we believed it.
So yeah, we did. Yeah, and but that's also the mainstream narrative. They tell us that that's what it is, you know, because they can't tell us it's some kind of geopolymer, can they?
Well, I've got documents.
So have you come across the work of? Have you come across the work of Dave? Is it David DeVitas?
Yes, I have. And son, I think his secretary reached out to me. She reached out to me and asked if I wanted to.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. Well, I think it was his secretary. She's done books and wrote books with him. And when I'd done the liquid stones video, she reached out to me, and then when I'd done the granite video, she reached out to me again. But it's just, I don't know. I just think I don't know. I just want to do it on my own, you know. I don't want to be involved with anyone else or anything like that. I'm not saying that David guy was reaching out through that woman. It was a woman reaching out to me, but she was connected to him.
Yeah. Right, and also
he's a legend. That guy's a legend. He is. But the geopolymer's been around for donkey's years. Yeah. Like he's just the guy that is the face of it now.
Yeah, and like he pretty much proved it. He literally made massive blocks, didn't he, back in the 90s, and proved it. But you know, he just got ignored as usual.
Yeah.
But the other
mystery
thing I mention is all these walls. Yeah, mystery cell. Yeah, all these walls that again, like the mystery at like Saski, what is it? Saski, you know, Pumapunku and all these places, the megalithic walls that, you know, you can't put a human hair between. Yeah, Saxony-Warman. That makes much more sense if that was some kind of geopolymer in like a Hessian sack that was, and they were just laid, right? And then the Hessian sack just wears away over time, and you get these perfect walls. And how much less work is it than, you know,
so
dragging whole blocks up bloody mountains?
Yeah, it just don't make sense, does it? It don't make sense at all.
The official narrative and stories were just so impractical and made zero sense, and they're impossible to replicate today. Even like how the heck you'd get these megaton stones up to the top of like the Andes and stuff like that. It was just ridiculous. And at the same time, the geopolymer technology you're illustrating and showing, Paul, it then makes possible and explains such like phenomena as the Siberian maximum megaliths that were like the giant walls that are all one piece essentially and stuff like that.
It's the same as Malta.
Right? Exactly.
I'm going back there, mate. I'm going back there in a few months.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going back there.
You're moving back
there. I'm going back there in February. Yeah. February I'm going.
That's amazing.
All the stuff that I missed and all the stuff that I couldn't work out because I weren't aware of it at the time. I'm going back over all of that. There's so much stuff. Like a lot of the stuff I was calling rock cut it's all geopolymer, which is another thing. And like you said, Bern, about the massive structures being poured in one piece. The whole of the letter is like that, mate. You can see where it's been done in sections, like one massive geopolymer structure. So all that stuff I need to go back and film.
Right. So many people also claim like the melting of stone, but now you're proving and essentially putting forward evidence that some of, if not most of what looks like melted could in fact or would in fact instead just be a type of geopolymer, and explains the running of it and the different formations within the rocks. Yeah,
that's it. Because obviously, depending on the pH level of the rock or the stone, say if it's an alkaline stone, it's an alkaline based stone, and you do acidic rain, it's going to melt. You get me? And vice versa. Yeah. So it's chemical reactions happening on the stones. So that's why you see some sandstone structures that look like they're melted. It's because of the acidic. And it doesn't have to just be the rain. It could be other pollutants. Sorry, Cam, go on.
So do you think any, I mean, no, you're right. We've got a little bit of a lag here. I mean, you talk a lot about, you know, them using the army to go in and do certain works. Do you think, because it looks like in a lot of the stuff you show, do you think that they've actually just gone out and just poured whatever, a geopolymer or cement over old structures? Because a lot of it looks like they just literally poured stuff and it's just run down and set.
Yeah, I think it's all different all over the world in different places. But some of the earliest stuff that I noticed is geopolymer. Yeah. And you'll notice that on top of that, like say, let's just say Malta, for instance, the earliest stuff in Malta is geopolymer. And then on top of that, you can see that something's been built on top of that around, I'm just guessing, around the 1500s. And then on top of that, you can see something that's been done in the 1800s. So you can see 3 levels of different stuff. But the earliest stuff is the geopolymer. But the second level of stuff above the geopolymer is blocks made out of the geopolymer. And then the last lot of blocks is blocks from quarry. So they're stone cut perfect blocks from the quarry. So that's how that goes.
Some of the oldest foundation, thus like the higher technology of like pre-cataclysm was geopolymer, and then it seems like it kind of got lost for a little bit, and then it's coming back a little bit in like the secret restoration groups, kind of, or does it seem like it was consistently used throughout all of history, sort of thing? Like we see in the Bosnian pyramids, for instance, that the entire thing is advanced.
Is there something wrong with your microphone? Because it's all I can't hear it. I can't hear you, Ben.
Ooh. Whoops.
Oh.
I can hear, all I can hear is fuzziness. Real bad fuzzy.
How about now?
You can't hear me either? Okay.
It's very, very bad.
Oh no. That might be. Do I sound all right to you, Bern?
You sound like you sound like robots, and I can just about barely hear you.
No.
Do I sound better now or no?
I'm going to screen record this.
No, I think it's on Paul's end.
So hello, Campbell, you can hear me fine, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to screen record this so you can see.
Do you want to
There's no sound now.
We can hear you. Okay.
Am I sounding all right now?
Yeah, we can hear Paul. All right. Do you want to log out and then log back in, Paul? Do you want to like jump out and jump back in?
Yeah, Paul, it might be on your end if you want to just leave and come back in and see if it sounds better. No, not at all. Yeah, and your speaker's up all the way, Paul. Well, while we figure this out, I'm going to play a clip of Paul's on the geopolymer. And
all right, I've just sent him a message, so we'll see if we can get this sorted. We can hear Paul, right? We can hear him binging.
I'm just a script. I can't hear you guys. If you can hear me, I can't hear you guys.
No, I'll send you a message. Can you see it?
Scagliola. Scagliola.
And sliced. These slices are applied over a base of brick, wood, or plaster. The slices are beaten into a base with flat mallet and gouging trowel.
Oh, we got
so Marazzo scagliola dates back to the 18th century and is often used for covering large, flat areas. This process involves silk threads soaked in coloured dyes placed on a glass sheet over which wet pigmented plaster is placed. Veining is created by the threads being drawn through the plaster, leaving coloured trails that mimic marble veins. Once the plaster is partially set, it is transferred to the base by pressing the plate onto the wall, leaving a smoother top surface than does traditional scagliola. The next stage is stopping, during which a slightly set gauge cement mix is brushed over the surface to fill in the holes and voids. As it dries, it is scraped off with a sharp-edged wood scraper. This is repeated several times. Once the last stopping coat is fully hard, the final application is wiped off with a damp rag. The final step is polishing with a putty powder oxide of tin, using rags and pure linseed oil, sometimes wax. The traditional finish is easy to maintain and will withstand gentle wear and tear. Right, so there you go. That was just a little bit in detail about scoliola and how you make it, how you repair
I think
it,
he's popped out.
what materials it was made of. So you find this in quite a lot of places. I've seen it everywhere. Now I know what I'm looking at. There is a lot of stuff that people are looking at, especially columns that look like marble. They're probably scoliola. Again, without seeing it with my own eyes, but there's a lot of columns that I've seen, especially when I was in Southampton and I was walking through the park. There were some columns on an ornate statue. And I was sitting there going to me, mate, how the blinking hell have they carved this marble and got it so perfect? You know, when I got my hand on it, touching it, thinking, bloody hell. So I got duped. We've all been duped. It's not that we duped. We just haven't been told. So that's all it is. That's all it is. What I want to do is just jump in quickly because there is a famous statue, or they call it a carving, and it's like the one with the nets and the veil, and it's apparently done with Carrara marble or lunar marble to the Romans. It's a type of white or blue-grey marble popular for use in sculpture and building decor. It has been quarried since Roman times in the mountains just outside the city of Carrara in the province of Massa and Carrara, the northernmost tip of the modern-day Tuscany. But if you look at the sculptures, there's no veins in them. So that tells me that these were geopolymer, because this is what marble from a quarry looks like. It's covered in veins, but you don't see it in these sculptures. So again, why lie? But my questions are, why has this been hidden from us? Why has it continued to be kept within a certain community? That's what I don't understand. So this is a real skill. This is a real art. This is no Mickey Mouse. Right, so I hope you find this interesting so far, because now we're going to talk about something called terrazzo. And now terrazzo is a composite material poured in place or precast, which is used for floor and wall treatments. It consists of chips of marble, quartz.
Oh, and we're back. And Paul loves watching himself on video.
Oh, did you want to watch a little bit more there? Or
do you know what?
I thought
I've never watched my videos ever. I'm just watching that. I was like, oh my god, that sounds terrible.
I know. It's like when you have to edit. Editing's just painful sometimes, isn't it? You just got to hear yourself.
Yeah. Especially with my voice, man.
Here.
That's what I say.
Right?
Then
it's
people
like...
say they like my voice. I don't know. Who knows? I should talk in my speaking voice more often. Get those slow, low vibrations going. All right. So, how is everyone? I did have a question before it all went pear-shaped. And what? Oh, well, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, just there with all the statues. So, I mean, poured. Obviously, you think they're poured. I mean, it makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? That these, especially that fisherman one. I mean, and even just to set up the mold and to get that set up to pour is, I mean, that's just an amazing skill in itself, isn't it?
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Work, you know, to get that as a poured statue.
Yeah.
But it's literally impossible. And it is impossible because there's actually carving like between the net and the person, isn't there? But there's not enough space to get any tools in to carve what's there. Mm-hmm. So it's clearly not carved.
Yeah, and like I said, going back to the veining of that statue, if you look at the marble, cut from a quarry, you've got the veins, and the veins are like the colouring in the marble, right? And if you look at these statues, there's none of that in them, because it just tells you, it tells me, well, I'm guessing that stone marble got broken down into dust, and then just like this here, and just made into a mold, you know. That's what that's like to me, and you can get it right. The marble
would have come from that quarry.
Yeah, the marble would have come from that quarry, broken down into dust, and then some chemicals would have been added to it, depending on the environment, because all these things go into it. Like, it has to, like, depending on the environment where it is, like what attacks it, like the environment, the weather. So that all takes into consideration what sort of stone is going to go there. But it's mainly vernacular, local stone anyway. It is mainly local stone.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. And we're starting to work all this out. I mean, there's no way that these, people couldn't have known this, right?
Yeah. It's like it's just been kept in the higher circles, and us like useless eaters, as I like to call us, who pay taxes, ain't meant to know this sort of stuff. We are literally, it's a different world. It's a different world between us and the people at the very top. And all that sort of information has been put to us.
Right? Like, open up the Vatican Library. What actually happened to the Library of Alexandria? Because I'm pretty sure everything is held underneath the Vatican. I would not be surprised.
Probably. They probably sent a memo out just before, didn't they? Clear it all out and it was put it on fire. But yeah, I reckon they definitely kept all that knowledge. Definitely kept all that knowledge.
But it also shows us that all these, deletes who have all these mansions and that's all a facade as well. They're not full of solid marble chunks and all these amazingly carved. It's all just poured fronts and facades.
Yeah. There's a way you can tell that with the scagliola. There's a way you could tell if it's marble or not, and the way you can do that is by touching it. Because if it's the actual solid stone marble, that would be quite cold. It'd be quite cold. But the scagliola, I think, can be like room temperature. And so that's one way to determine.
And that's probably good for the thickness.
Yeah, feeling the thickness of it compared to, but I guess though it wraps pretty solid.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to, because it'd be wrapped around a thing. You wouldn't see the thickness of it. Unless it was a slab. Like, unless you had a slab of it, then you could see the thickness.
Yeah.
But if you had a slab, it'd probably be marble.
Yeah, and scagliola wouldn't be that thick, would it? It's like just a coat.
No, scagliola is made up of powders and stuff like that, and fine parts of marble and quartz. And it's all pushed into different places, so you can actually make the patterns yourself.
And it's only about an inch or so thick, right? And then as a facade around what they use on the insides.
Yeah, that's right. So it's just like a cover, basically, just a decorational cover. Or like a decorational render, basically.
Yeah.
Just molds it, and it makes so much more sense on the construction and how it was possible to construct these mega structures in the ancient times. I'll play here another clip about your mini Malta clip that you just put up here, and then we can talk about that, because there's so many things that you have discovered in Malta, and I am just stoked that you are going back. I really want you to go into the hypogeum, is it called there? The acoustic one that's amplifies sound. But have you heard the rumor or the legend that a school bus full of children disappeared there, and there was like the elongated headed people that shrieked or something like that? Gives the creeps.
I've got a question too. Does malted milk come from Malta?
Sorry?
Does malted milk come from Malta?
I don't know, mate. I ain't got a clue. Malta, actually, the original name for Malta is Melita, and Melita means honey. So, honey, it means.
It sounds like honey. Wow. And it's also a milk. So it's the land of milk and honey. Oh my God, we've worked it out.
Milk and honey.
Land of Eden. Yeah.
So this right here is the map of old Malta, right? The Star Citadel and City and main part. How big is the island compared to the rest of this area, and how much of this area, in your opinion, was the foundation geopolymer, or from like the most advanced pre-cataclysm society or age compared to the rest of it, do you suspect?
Right, so this segment that you're looking at now is literally probably about 1/15 of the island, and it's the capital, which is in the middle, the bit sticking down, and Floriana just above that, which is the city or the town there I lived. And on the right-hand side of that is a place called Manuel Island, which is a star fault on an island. And on the left of that is the three cities, which is three massive star cities, basically. And going back to what I said to Cam earlier, when you walk around these places, the base of these are all poured geopolymer, massive megalithic structures. And then the next layer, and you can see when you walk along around there, you can see that it's all been chopped down level, like you can literally see it. And then on top of that, they've put the block work. And then on top of that one, you've got the most modern block work on top of that. But that star fault in the middle in Valletta, if you can see that middle one, that actually is so big that it goes through to the next town. And what they've done is they broke that star fault into two towns, which one city, which is Valletta, and then obviously Floriana above that. And another thing about Valletta, that goes 5 stories deep till you're down at sea level. So you've got this massive limestone structure, and then on top of that, they've built a city. But people don't realise that when you're standing in the city, that you've got 5 levels of like it's literally like a municipal
God
structure.
knows what that's below you.
Yeah, well, you've got chambers, you've got doors, you've got dwellings. You got everything down there, man.
Do you think it was built pre-flood? Like, do you think that like what we're looking at is a post-flood picture?
This like, picture is 1694, I think. This map is 1694.
Right,
and all them buildings.
That's what they dated, but it's like, could all of these like star maps that are from the 1500s? Is it possible they redated them and that they could actually be like a couple thousand years older than instead of 500 sort of thing?
Sure.
Very good point, Bern. Right, basically, when I was doing my research in Malta and I was walking around, I come across a statue in Floriana of a guy who apparently built the star faults, right? And the guy is called something de Vilhena. I can't remember his first name, I just remember de Vilhena. And it says on his statue, right underneath it, it says that this guy added to existing fortifications, meaning, and that was in the 1500s, meaning that the stuff was already there.
Yeah.
Right, and like
that's what it looks like, and they've just put the extra walls on top and the smaller houses and stuff.
Yeah.
But you show that the foundation is essentially the biggest build of all. Like that foundation is 5 stories deep, essentially, so that if it was already documented as being there, that whatever was there is actually a massive prior build, and that it's those other layers you're saying of the blocks, and then like the less blocks, and then like the new stuff or whatnot that would have been from those ages.
Yeah, that's right, mate. That's exactly it. I believe the blocks that are sitting on top of the geopolymer were the actual geopolymer, but broken up and then made into molds, so they could reshape what goes on top of what they've cut down. That's what I reckon's happened. I don't reckon they were originally like fortifications for protection against cannons and stuff like that. Because when I was doing research before, there's a star city or star fault in India that's 4,000 years old. Now the cannon was invented in the 13 or 1400s. So you've got this bastion-looking thing that's 4,000 years old, but there's no cannons around.
There's an identical one also in Bahrain. They dug out another star fort, identical star fort in Bahrain in the Middle East there next to Saudi Arabia, UAE. That was also, I believe, 4,500 or even older than that they dated it to, right? So it's like,
because anything pre-1500 is against their narrative. They say it all started in the 1500s. That's when the first bastion forts were built by the Italians and French.
Really? I didn't know that.
And they're supposed to have only just done it until 1750, which is before Australia was discovered, apparently, and we've got star forts here. So that's another one, right? But definitely they're thousands of years beforehand, and that just destroys the narrative.
Well, we see this picture here that we're looking at.
It sounds much more like inside. They just went around and topped them all off. Sorry.
That star fault on the left, these star faults are a lot older than mate. These star faults are, I say, they predate Egyptian stuff, especially on the left-hand side. When you walk around there, like even the blocks that have blocked up the tunnels there, they are like ancient stones, you know. So these were blocked up a long time ago. And another thing about all these structures that you see, all around the outskirts of these are littered with entrances, as in dwellings. As in rooms, like you walk in like a little corridor and there'll be like 5 or 6 rooms in that dwelling.
Right, and so it makes me wonder that if all of these maps, the Star Fort maps, the Star City maps, lots of them also seem like they have the I or the J in front of the 600 or 500 date. And that it's like, though, that could literally be a millennium or a couple millennium, represent a couple millennium prior to the actual 15 or 1600s, and that these were pre the last reset or the last cataclysm sort of thing, and then just re-inhabited and developed since then.
Definitely, mate.
Yeah, well, there's so many problems with the dating systems and the different calendars and the whole 360 day to 365 day year, and how ancient cultures used to count in months, not years, and then some people interpret that as years, and that's how we get these, you know, a king ruled for 50,000 years or something. Or not that long, but you know, so we've got so many problems with dating and the maps. I mean, and the main thing with maps is we've still got the wrong tropics on them. They're not even for this age or the last age, and like, so who knows where they came from, you know? And we've got some that look like they are from the post or pre-flood world, and some that look like they're just post-flood, you know, different sea levels to what we have. Well, apparently to what we have now. We don't actually know what the world looks like now, though, do we? I mean, that's really where we are. We can't confirm that any of this is more than just a drawing, really. Can we?
One thing I will say about these star faults in Malta or the star cities is they're actually designed to be on the sea level that's there now, if that makes sense. Like
so the bottom like the base, well, like the bottom story.
Yeah, the base of these star faults are at sea level.
Okay, so we're talking post flood.
Or was there a flood? Whatever.
Yeah. Good point.
Have you read the Aurolinda book before?
No.
The Aurolinda book. In there it says that they went around, and it doesn't call them star forts, but it said they went around and built, you know, cities and fortifications everywhere back sort of, I think it was 2000 BC-ish.
Really?
So I'm sure that, you know, yeah.
I'm going to write that name down.
It's a really interesting book.
What's it called?
It gives the date of the book. Aurolinda. A pen?
Oh, I've got a bloody pen. Would you better text
one that talks about Friesland as well?
Yeah. Friesland. Yeah. So basically, it's the book of the Frieslandian people, and they came from that island, you know, that keeps popping up and disappearing, which is either Friesland or Frisia, and they say that it sank and they all took off, and now there's a part of where is it? Denmark in Scandinavia, which is Friesland.
Doggerland. Friesland, yeah.
Friesland, yeah. So there's Friesland, there's PH, there's F, there's all that, and it's all different spellings. But it's all this, and they're all, you know, tall white dudes, and then we have all these stories of these tall white dudes coming and bringing civilization and stuff. So pretty interesting.
And then also that all of those maps that are like 500 plus years old, they seem to have these extra islands, these extra lands and whatnot in different areas. And also like the inhabitation of like the Siberian area, but also like the Sahara desert seemed like it had lush jungle and life and civilization there, which then does bring up the question, were these maps redated from not necessarily like 12,000 years, but maybe a couple thousand, that some other smaller cataclysm or just changes have happened, or wars, who knows what the heck, but at least like a minor to major reset since all of this civilization and world existed.
Yeah, spot on,
where
mate.
do all these maps come from? I mean, it's interesting too that in the old maps, Iceland is called Island. Have you noticed that in the old maps?
No, that's quite interesting.
And it's always green, right? And it's called Island. And I often wonder, you know, like if civilization came out from the center, right, from Hyperborea, that may have been the first island that they hit, right? Now we have islands everywhere.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, yeah, I come across a map yesterday that someone sent me, and it's called the pie map, the pie grid map. Have you seen it? Or the fire grid map?
I'm not sure if I have.
Is that the flat one with the flower of life?
No, it's basically, oh God, it is the most incredible map I've ever seen in my life, mate. And the guy was just showing me the part of it on Britain. And it was literally showing you on these lines that weren't ley lines, these are other lines, they're called fire lines. And they're just straight lines, and on all these lines was everything. So on all these lines, you had all the stuff, like in straight lines going across the United Kingdom. You had stone circles, you had cathedrals, churches, and basically there's about 10 different things on this list, on these lines. And it was just straight lines going through the United Kingdom. I'll have to get hold of it, and I'll have to do a video on it, but I need to learn more on it. I just thought you guys might have heard of it. The pie grid. Pie, P-H-I.
P-H-I?
Yeah.
Phi map?
It's called the Phi grid map.
Phi Greek map.
Grid. G-R-I-D.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry. Phi grid map. Well, while Campbell looks that up, I will finally play a bit of your Malta.
Phi latitude. Is that?
I don't know if you're going to be able to find it. I was looking this one.
Sorry, I'm playing the clip here while Campbell looks for it.
In all the old world out there, I wasn't aware of geopolymer, so I was calling everything rock cut. I kept the videos up because the footage is golden. It's like, it is exclusive footage, so I kept it up there. But what I've done is now I've took it down, and I've gone over the same footage again with the new brain. So this is that version with the new improved Paul Cook. So let's go. So what I want to point out now is this starfall in the background is actually part of a place called Burgu, Kospica, the Three Cities. And it's here, right here, exactly where the yellow arrow is. That is exactly where I've dropped the pin, and that's exactly what I'm looking at right now. So the reason I'm showing you these is because these starfalls, or these cymatic patterns, are riddled with apartments, all on the outskirts of it. So if you follow the perimeter of all of these star faults in Malta, or star cities, they should be called star cities, they will have all these entrances. I'd say about 90% of them have been blocked up. You can see. And the building has been, whatever that structure was, has been chopped down, and then they've used blocks and built on top of that. Look, here we go. So that was this little bit here, right? And another thing about my videos, I actually go inside these places and explore inside these old world apartments. And it's just like being in Turkey, or like in Cappadocia, or Iran, or Iraq, or anywhere. It's all the same. This old world geopolymer stuff is the same all around the world. So I'm just going to show you another point now. So that what I'm going to do in this video is walk around the outskirts of Valletta. But I'm just showing you another part of that star city, the same star city, just another segment. And you will see that it's this geopolymer limestone riddled with all these entrances. 90% of them are blocked up. But like I said, in this video, I'll go into 3 of them and show you what they look like inside. And I used to live in Floriana. This is how I know this area like the back of my hand. So we're going to explore this actual area here, and it's going to be the bottom part here, all right? So we're going to start here, and I'm going to walk all the way along to down here. And there is where I'm going to show you stuff that you wouldn't even see if it was on holiday. And now I've exposed it in England, like everything that's been blocked up and hidden. Like I'm going to show you these pictures now, stuff that I found in England. And it's identical to Malta. Like I keep saying this, it's identical worldwide. But we've just done a good job at blocking things up. Well, the military have, not us. Because I believe all this was blocked up in the early 1900s. But here we go. You can see sections. Now this is a tunnel. Look at this. Look at what tool would do this. To me, it seems like the material would have to be like a bit pasty to get these sort of imprints. Ignore that. Like I said, this is from the old footage. But you can see all the scratch marks up here, and you can see that this has been poured in sections. So there would have been some wooden platform you could have walked up and you'd have been on another level. But if we scroll down, you can see not the ground level, but what we are calling now the new ground level.
I paused it there just to give a good reference of that's in Malta, and that's part of what would be the original structure then of the Star Fort and the original walls, Paul?
Yeah, so basically the city is built on top of that, basically.
It's just so crazy and insane, and that you can literally see there's doors and entrances.
There's 5 levels,
right? Like it's a 5-story, like just rock building island city cave, like ridiculous. Just it's insane what is there and what it actually is. It blows my mind every time, and I just hope you don't get trapped in one of the tunnels on your way back. But luckily,
nah, definitely not, mate. Definitely not.
Be able to live stream it the whole way, right?
That's it. But the other thing, when I go back to Malta, I'm going to be so close
So this is
to
the ditch.
Egypt, Libya. I can go to Sicily. I can go to everywhere from there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's so close.
See this bit here? Can I? What's happening?
Just an ad. Sorry.
Right, because there's something here that I missed, and I can show you guys now, which I thought was fascinating on that clip you're about to show.
Stupid ads. There we go. So I'll let it play with it muted so that we can talk over.
Yeah, pause it. Can you pause it there?
Yep.
Right. Is that paused?
Yep.
Can you see the geopolymer, and then there's these squares that have been filled in with modern blocks?
So here or here, like.
So if you go down just above the wall, you got the limestone, and then you got the blocks in the middle. They blocked up these square entrances.
Oh, I see. Right here and here.
Yeah. I never noticed that before.
Yeah, like that's like a perfect garage entrance, like tunnel big enough for vehicles, sort of thing.
Yeah. But I never noticed them before. I just when I was going over my footage, I started noticing loads more stuff.
Right.
And hence that's why I need to go back out there, because I've got a new eyes, new brain, and I need to go and I'm gonna blow the internet up, mate.
So stoked you're going back, because like when we first talked a couple of years ago, you were like, there's no way I'm ever going back to Malta. Like you didn't think it was gonna happen. Now you've got it actually in the works. So like you know where you're gonna go and know what areas you want to check out and whatnot. It's just
even this picture here, Bernie. Yeah, you can see that it's been done in sections. These are megalithic blocks that have made this inside here.
Right, like
even the ceiling, you can see it's been done in sections.
Which is just insane amount of construction. Then it means the whole 5 stories of solid rock material would have had to been built from the ground up, basically, when it was originally done.
Sometimes I think that they put blocks down and then they've put the same material smeared on the outside of it to make it look like one thing. Sometimes I think that's what they do. I think there's multiple different techniques that they use.
Yeah, right. Like a fake facade on some of them.
Yeah, but it'd be the same material as the block, so it just looks like a straight wall.
Like, look at this.
I know. Look at that.
And that's just like one little tiny clip, and it's the entire, not just the main island, but then all the islands around it as well. The bays there, yeah, like truly mind-boggling.
But that building down there, if you can pause it, there's a building when I pan down on the left in a minute, that's all one material. That's not made out of blocks. So that's either, it's got to be a geopolymer structure, the whole thing of it. And if you look, there's no blocks in it at all. It's just one material. So when I pan down in a minute on the left-hand side, literally beneath me, you'll see it. And it's got windows, doors.
Like that one right there?
No, it's coming down. When it comes down, you'll see it. This one here, that building there.
Right. Like,
that's no block work at all. That's just one bit. I was calling that cut out of stone, but it's obviously geopolymer. But it's got window frames in it and all that lot, door frames. And on the front of that, it's a completely different facade. It looks like a new building.
Insane. Like, how?
But you wouldn't burn. You wouldn't be able to see that unless you was hanging off where I was hanging. Like I'm sitting on the edge of this massive starfault wall, leaning over, looking over at that. Like, there's no way in this world, unless you had a drone, you'd be able to see that. Or unless you was where I was.
Right, like
proper hidden, mate. Proper hidden.
How old it must be, and how long this place has been continuously inhabited, as well as all the other Star City, Star Citadel islands. Like this, what you're showing, it looks pretty identical, similar to like all of like Libya, all of ancient Egypt,
exactly the same, mate.
Europe.
Burn, it's not just that. I'm finding the same in England as well, mate.
Exactly. And you're gonna have to check out the island of Jersey, which it's closer to France in the channel there, but it's still the UK. And it seems like they have a pretty similar build and Star Citadel layout as Malta.
Yeah, I checked it. I checked it the other day when you told me to. I had a look. It's mad.
Just everywhere we look now, it's popping up.
I've got a couple of pictures. I couldn't find much, but it looks like that fire thing might be something you can add on to Google Earth and like overlay. So we'll have to try that out.
Yeah, well I've actually sent it to Bernie.
Google screenshots.
The guy that sent it to me, I've just forwarded it on to Bernie on WhatsApp, so you can have a look at that later.
Perfect.
Yeah,
appreciate
cool.
That.
Yeah, I'll send you a WhatsApp too. I'm actually on WhatsApp now, so I'll send you a hello.
All right, wicked, man.
Done, and I'll send you that book.
So, on screen here on the left side, you can see all those bubbles within that block, which again leads to evidence that would have been poured in geopolymer and liquid that solidified at one point.
And not only that, the size of that stone, the letter that we just looked at, it's the same consistency all the way through. You know, if that was a natural stone, there'd be different parts, different colours, and this is the same all the way through. And it also looks like the consistency of a concrete.
Right?
Yeah. So you could, I mean, the thing with all this stuff, especially like the pyramids and that, you can tell that something's poured, can't you? I mean, do they you crush up the shells and that, don't you, when you make a geopolymer? So
yeah,
if
but I
there's
only
crushed
use
up
the
shells
shells
inside a rock,
as
know that that's man.
yeah. I only use the shells as an aggregate, like just to pack out.
But if they're in there and they're crushed up, then
yeah. But you see this a lot. You do see shells and that, especially when I was in Nottingham and I was looking at all the geopolymer up there. That they'd lose a lot of shells up there, shells and stones, because where some of the wall would erode, it'll start showing you bits that are hanging out of the wall, and you think, flipping hell, how's that got there?
And that's a good shot too. It shows the sort of that new cut brick they've put in there at the bottom of that doorway.
Right,
that's
exactly.
Part of the second phase or third phase building.
Yeah, they took smaller bricks.
And it's actually the polymer, isn't it?
That main structure, the ancient structure that's worn out now, because you can see that they were mega brick blocks that were poured that have this porous material on it. Like they're several ton, if not more. That make it up, and then it's eroded away, so it must be tens of thousands of years probably, and then this is newer construction that they came and quarried part of it and turned it into these littler bricks.
Exactly that mate.
It's crushed
because
up
that building material is secure. Yeah, I know. Look at this. This is one of the places.
The scrape mark.
I know.
Right,
Sorry, you go.
Look at how it's fractured there through the blocks, and that
through the blocks. So, do you think it's just been poured and then they just scraped it to look like blocks? I mean, that's what it looks like, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I honestly think. Or the other suggestion is, if it's put into a form, then on the inside of the form there will be the zigzag lines. That's the other suggestion.
Yeah, where they might just be like a.
And that is purely because they rendered over that after. See, when this structure was in its prime, it wouldn't look like a limestone stone. It'd have been decorated. It'd have had terrazzo over it or some sort of marble. You know when they say the pyramids were covered in something, wouldn't they? I can't remember what they say now. Granite or something, marble. Yeah, it's the same as this. These structures.
A white granite thing, yeah.
So we're just walking around these ruins, looking like they're. Well, this is not how they look. Now, this here is a massive geopolymer block. Do you see that?
Just sticking in the side of the building,
and then rebuilt at a later date with the bricks adding whatever had fallen off. Oop. And more ads. So
sorry about
some of the antiquitech that you've also found on your journeys, such as the
Mercury arc rectifier.
The Mercury arc rectifier, which I showed this clip and the information that you put together on this to a lot of like my electrical engineer, like highly techy, way more smarter than I am when it comes to like physics and engineering aspects, and it still blows their mind that they've never heard of anything such as this Mercury arc rectifier and how well it works, how efficient it is, and that this technology is minimum at least 100, if not a couple hundred to thousands of years old, most likely.
Well, yeah, it looks like some of them, like the Mercury arc rectifier, it converts, I can't remember the way around. It converts direct current into alternating current, or the other way around.
Yeah, it's DC to AC. And I think that it actually can go back and forth both ways. And then the most impressive part is it doesn't destroy, I think, I forget the actual term of it, but the dipole or something like that, it doesn't wear out. It restabilizes.
It resets every time, doesn't it? It keeps resetting. Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. Look, when I found it, do you know what I thought it was? I thought it was a light bulb for a disco when I found it. And when I put it online on my channel, I was like, what is this? And some guy went to me, Paul, that is an old world bit of tech, and you need to go back and get the mercury out of it. And I thought, oh God. So I did.
Right? It does look like a plasma ball.
There was 2 of them in there as well,
I mean,
but
Mercury's
someone had already took the mercury out of the other one.
Yeah. I mean, why don't they let us have mercury, man? It's got to have some. I mean, you know, it's got so many, you know, amazing kind of properties. It's supposed to be levitation as well, right?
Yeah.
So
this is only a mini clip though, Burn, of the actual main thing.
Yeah. So should I play this whole thing or should I bring up the full video?
I don't think this has got any words in it. This is just silent movie.
Perfect. Then we can keep talking over it as we play.
All
so
right,
you found these 2 mercury arc rectifiers in this abandoned cinema in Malta, correct?
Yes, that's right. And one other thing, I'll say one other thing.
It's in Malta.
Yeah. So this cinema.
So this is your footage, is it?
Yeah, this is my footage. Yeah. So it's in that cinema there, but the cinema shut down 50 years ago.
Right, like,
and there's still stuff in there.
Such a waste.
So it's been
well, there was a room at the very top, the film room at the top, and it had all the golden nuggets in it. It had the mercury arc rectifier in it, and it had the reels. It had a load of other old tech that I couldn't even describe, but you'll see it anyway.
And that's in the middle of the town, so and it's probably it's more less developed, shall we say, than where than.
Yeah, definitely. It's just been left there, mate.
And which means exactly, yeah, because the more government you have, the more resources they have to go in and trash those places and rebuild them and get all the stuff out. So if anyone's in those kind of areas, go and check out the old buildings.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Because you never know what sort of amazing store you're going to find.
Allegedly. Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing. It was obviously everywhere. It was in machinery and stuff, but then suddenly it started killing you.
Well, you know the old electric cars from the early 1900s. They needed mercury arc rectifiers on their chargers. They had to have the mercury arc rectifiers on the chargers.
Really?
The old electric cars. Yeah. So you've got the stands that when you've got people standing in the garage and they've got the stands charging the cars up, just behind them stands are the mercury arc rectifiers. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See,
okay. So
sorry, mate.
This dipole thing, how they keep switching, would that make the batteries last longer?
I'm not sure. I'm not
sure.
That,
Burn?
Like it would make the system so much more efficient, and like there's a reason they pretty much just erased this technology and using these and making mercury so dangerous and poisonous is because it is a superconducting super material that clearly has been suppressed compared to where it used to be mass used everywhere. It was like manufacturing everything.
Well, they even used it as a receiver in the old TVs and radios. Look at all this stuff. What's all this?
Oh yeah, the little tubes of them. Because that's another thing it does is it amplifies like frequency or signal, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
We all need a bloody drop in our phones, and they might work. Satellites might become real. And then, of course, there's red mercury on top of it all, right?
Yeah, well, that's how I've come across red mercury. When I was doing research on mercury before I took it out of this building, that's when I come across red mercury. Because I wanted to know I wanted to know the dangers. Like I wanted to educate myself before I threw myself into something like that. I wanted to know, is it dangerous? Like what to do, how to handle it, and all that stuff. And that's how I come across red mercury.
For sure, right? It's like
and
definitely don't need to give yourself heavy metal poisoning.
No, definitely not, man.
No. But I mean, this is the thing. We're not even, allowed to look into this stuff, are we? It's just mad.
Yes.
Was it?
I guess in that clip you didn't have it actually fired, the video of it actually fired up and whatnot, like you did in the longer one. So
no. That there was just a little segment to get people to go over to the more bigger clip. That was all that was.
Exactly.
A little teaser.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Now I have to go load the full one because it's the goods. But while I do that, we'll play the teaser from Power from the Kitchen Tap mini clip that you also just put out from, you did a full segment video on it as well. And I find this stuff so fascinating, like where you found it and dug it up, because it's the missing link in this DC technology and this like Antiquitech technology from that I'm discovering with like all of my alchemy research and like the Baghdad batteries and the electrolysis, this cold fusion style DC cold electrical technology that seems to be what the ancients used, how they were harvesting atmospheric electricity as well, and that it all ties in together, and that it was these oh my goodness, what's it called that connects in the generates the DC electricity? It connected into the tap thing.
Dynamo.
Sorry?
Dynamo.
The dynamos, yes, the dynamo.
Yes.
And like, what is this dynamo? And I definitely need my electrical engineer friends to look more into these dynamos, because I think it is also a crucial missing link into the free energy and the over unity devices.
Yeah. Well, before you play this clip, Bern, can I explain something?
100%.
Right. So, in that video you're about to watch, there was in certain areas in England there was a high pressure network, meaning that for instance there'd be from source they'd be pumping water at a very high pressure, and the network would pass into places like factories and things like that. So you couldn't actually draw the water off of this network. You couldn't take the water out, but the water would pass through certain parts in the building that you could attach the dynamo to, and that water pressure would then spin the dynamo, and that's how you got the power. So you couldn't actually open a tap and get the water out of this pressure network. The pipes would run through the buildings or the factories, and then you'd connect to that, and that'd spin. There'd be like a spindle spinning like that, because obviously the water, the pressure's going.
Right, so hydroelectric power that instead of being in a massive dam was in the individual houses, units, and factories. And what you're saying is the amount of water pressure, the hydrologic pressure that were going into these factories, it wasn't water that you could use for flushing your toilet or out of the sink. It was blasting, and it would have been to powering the dynamos and
exactly that
voltage power in the
exactly
that
site.
We're literally doing everything backwards, because now the biggest machines are the hydroelectric dams, right?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
And the smallest machines is that they try and put a grid into your house when the whole place used to be a grid. It's like everything's literally opposite to how it used to be. That's insane. But that's such cool tech. And then I mean, you can't tell me that 100 people haven't come up with that idea in the last 50 years. It's obviously just been suppressed, because that's so simple. Isn't it?
It is.
So simple.
You see, you haven't got to keep paying for it, have you? It's just there. It's just on loop going round. You know, it's just. But
it's free, right?
Exactly. Whether it was from the atmosphere, whether it was from the Baghdad battery, like your little chemical jar batteries, or whether it was from hydroelectric or wind turbine, it seems that communities and households, farms, industry, that it was all electricity was just provided and generated on site, as opposed to needing to source it out, to have to pay for it, to charge for it, and all of that. And that's where the hijack came.
Well, Bern, I got a magazine from 1913, mate, or 1911, and in that magazine, it's telling you it's a child's magazine. Well, not a child or kid, rather, child. It's aimed at teenagers basically, and it's showing them how to make electricity at home with household materials.
Right, like lemons, potatoes, or like with aluminum foil.
Basically, they're making little Wim Hof machines, little Wim Hof generators. Static electric, basically, and it shows you how to make Leyden jars as well, where you can store the electricity. And it literally used to make your own electricity at home.
I'm gonna need you to send me that one for sure.
I'll send you the whole magazine. I've got about 10 magazines, mate. I'll send you them.
Yes, please.
All PDF as well.
Perfect. Right, and that's the amazing thing now is all the sharing and technology and the web and connecting. It's all coming out at once, where it's just undeniable evidence of everything we were told was a lie, and now let's actually take this knowledge and be constructive with it and build and free ourselves, as opposed to falling for being an ant in the cog and being stuck in the grind.
That's exactly it, mate.
What you can see now is actually a network of a hydraulic system or a high pressure water system that runs through London, and you can see 5 or 6 pumping stations, which are the dots. These networks branch off to factories and residential buildings. Now, when I say there's electricity from the kitchen tap and everyone's going, oh, is it? It's not. It's because it's connected to a hydraulic network. Okay, so that water will come into your house and it'll go straight back to the power network. Nothing to do with the waste of the property. Literally just connected to the hydraulic power network. So when you see all these little devices like dynamos and things like that, that's what they're connected to in the house. So let's have a look. So the water would either come into your cellar tap through high pressure, or it would come through one of these that have been built into the wall. So you just attach your dynamo to this, and then the high pressure water will spin the dynamo. Okay, so that's how these worked. You just attach the dynamo to the wall and boom, there you go. Easy as that. Or like I said, go down to the cellar, get it out of there, high pressure water. So let's have a look at these turbines. These water turbines of an entirely new design are constructed to work from any household water tap. Both models are amply powerful enough to work dynamos, small tools, fans, etc. So the specification just tells you the size and all that jazz. Another thing I found interesting, they had a mains transformer. So it was for 200 to 250 volts alternating current mains, transforms down to 3, 5 or 8 volts. Bake-like case with enclosed connection sockets, suitable for working motors, bells and all electrical toys off the mains without the possibility of shock, complete with instructions. Mental.
Boom.
Nice work.
What a flipping bit of good. That is incredible, isn't it?
You've made some epic videos, my friend.
And so is that system still there, or did they rip it out?
I don't think it's still there, Cam. But when I did my video in London, when I was underground on the catacombs, when I went on the boat, I was in them tunnels, I noticed some pipe work that must have been the high pressure network, because it was just 2 pipes that were about 3 inches thick, and it was the flow and return, and it was going through these tunnels, and it could only have been part of the higher pressure network. It wasn't waste, and it wasn't like a mains either. So it could only have been the high pressure.
Yeah, right.
Now, I've got footage of that, but
yeah, right.
it's
so
on a video. Sorry, mate, go on.
No, you're right. I was just wondering. So that was probably like a newer tech that, and then further back you go, they would have got more and more advanced, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, if they're running those pipes through. Do you think, did it have anything to do with the the fountain network? Because that was obviously another pressurized water sort of network, all the fountains we see everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think that high pressure network was connected to the fountains. That high pressure network was a closed system. It was pressurized. There's no open ends on it.
So there's at least two systems down there that they had, two separate water systems, which is weird because then numbing in the building.
Yeah, so you've got a waste system, which all your waste goes somewhere, doesn't it? And that's been there. You've got the mains water, and then you've got the high pressure water, which was the power for electrical dynamos and things like that. But this all went in the early 1900s. This all vanished then. So I think World War I, World War II were to eradicate that stuff.
It was definitely the reset, right? And so the official story was the World War I started because 3 different cousins that were all kings had a disagreement, so everybody had to kill themselves.
Is that the story? I've never looked into it, mate. That's incredible.
Right, like the English king and the German Kaiser and the Russian Tsar were all like first cousins or something like that, and
inbred.
And that it was a disagreement between them that triggered the war, or something like that. And it's like that sounds like an excuse for a reset. And literally, academia taught for geology that prior the world wars that everything was catastrophism, that it was these constant resets and cataclysmic cycles that shaped and caused everything, and in history that there was Atlantis beforehand that was this prior super technological civilization and golden age. And from that understanding and mindset for the old explorers and stuff, when you're traveling the world, and if you went to North America, South America, Africa, anywhere, and you see these massive ruins, well, it would have made sense. Oh, that was from the time that we had all this crazy technology, and that the ancients knew how, and we're going to get there again because we used to have it, instead of our current mindset of YOLO, we're the best ever, so if we can't do it right now, nobody could do it, and it's impossible sort of stupidity. And that's how they've been able to control the narrative and then indoctrinate the flocks with their shepherds, and the whole reset of it's only 2,000 years old, and if you don't do all of this, that you're banished away to hell, and not don't realize that your soul's eternal. You've probably been here several incarnations, and that humanity's 100,000s, if not millions or eons of ages old here.
Look at everything they're pushing now. The whole, the world's exploding because humans are evil. I mean, that wouldn't work if everyone was taught about catastrophism, would they? All their narratives wouldn't work, and because they teach that everything's a straight line, right? Start, and when it's not, it's a circle or a spiral. So bloody, because evolution doesn't work with catastrophism, right? How does that work? Every time it just starts going, a catastrophe hits and boom, right? It doesn't work. Yeah. So it's everything. That's a big thing they took out.
Yeah, I think that Darwin theory is getting taken out of the school books soon, because it's just a load of cobblers, isn't it? This evolution stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we come from monkeys at all, because there's not the bit in between, is there? You got monkeys here still, and then you got human, but where's the bit in between?
Or Sasquatch is real, and they might be a little smarter than us, hiding, staying the heck away. But definitely the official story. Paul has to explain that he's not a creep being parked next to a playground or something. For the
I'm not sitting here watching girls walk along the beach. So. All right. I do have some pics of
sorry, I had to go to the toilet
and stuff like that.
Fair deal.
Oh, we thought it just started.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah. Out in nature, and I.
It's the best place to be.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Well, I'm actually not in nature. I'm in a concrete jungle. I was just like, I'm on a concrete. I'm surrounded by concrete, mate. I'm not in nature.
You're in the concrete jungle.
Yeah, let me show you. Let me show you. I don't know.
Oh wow. Oh, there's a nice big Tartarian building in the background there, though.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit of a poo area, man. Not the best.
What's sad is I bet if you compared it to like old pictures from 100 years ago, there'd be nicer buildings than a couple of like the parking lots that are currently there. Hey.
This place was beautiful, mate. If you look at the pictures, it used to be. Abby kicked him out of the house.
Mike says that Abby's kicked you out of the house.
Yeah, I'm not in the house because I'll tell you why I'm not in the house. Because I have children. I live in a block of flats of 15 flats, right? And my apartment is like on a communal part. So I have children up and down. Like, I've had arguments with these people so many times. But there's kids screaming and running up and down. They used to kick the football on my wall and all. But that's stopped. But now they're just screaming. And I couldn't do this chat with them kicking or screaming or anything like that, mate. It'd just be a nightmare. So I've come to somewhere. I've just come to a car park in the middle of a bit of quiet.
Well, that's no fun. That'd be horrible. Good thing you're going back to Malta, though.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Oh, shit.
So you're going back to live, yeah? You going for a holiday or are you going back to live? Oh, hang on. Did his phone run out of power? That's a strange frozen pig. It doesn't actually look like Paul from that angle, does it? It looks like someone's jumped into his body.
No doubt.
He said, "Oh crap!" Just before he froze. So I'm wondering if he's actually if his phone died, then we would have lost him. Don't know.
Maybe he received a call or something.
All right. Well,
Paul will be right back. We will play another clip in the meantime, I guess. Or Campbell, did you have something to say?
Right. Clip Central. I've got a couple of pictures you can look at of the Badlands. Oh, he's gone. He's completely gone now. Oh, Paul may be back. He may not be. Who knows? Maybe Abby was behind the car and she just went, "What are you doing? It's been an hour and a half." Let me, if I do that and go Can you see that?
Oh yeah, that looks like.
So this is on the ground in the Badlands.
That's Medicine Hat Badlands. Or is that
yeah.
Really? I'd never seen it before.
Medicine Hat, yeah, on the ground.
Looks identical or very similar to the Drumheller Badlands that I'm also going to be exploring soon. That has the world famous Tyrrell Dinosaur Bone Museum in it. And what? That looks like petrified
tree roots anymore? Yeah.
Wow.
Tree roots. Mike's in the chat. What do you reckon, Mike? What are we looking at here?
Just amazing. And I am even more stoked now that we are 3 weeks from now, I believe, I will be doing an expedition to the Medicine Hat Badland Guardian site. Anyone out there that wants to join us, I'm going to be publishing all of the details within the next week for the meetup and exploratory 2 to 3 day mission and adventure like that. Oh man, just so fascinating and crazy, and resembling what looks like extremely ancient ruins of past mega catastrophic cycles of either comet or plasma catastrophe or some sort of high tech nuclear war, who knows what, but that there's definitely mass amounts of what appear to be unnatural formations constantly in these anything that's designated as badlands. They always have what these fairy chimneys, what looks like the remnants of cherry chimney smokestacks and buildings and right angles everywhere, and what seem like artificial layers of both soil and construction and just terrain everywhere.
Oh, this is one of those maps that Paul was talking about. Maybe it's not.
The
I think I have a better one anyway. Yeah, right. And you can see this flow, which sort of Paul was talking about, that this could be geopolymer, maybe, that through atmospheric change, it's run.
Right, and that if there was a past cataclysm or exposure of heat or energy of some sort, what would have been the geopolymer solid chemical structure density of it then turns into this brittle, erodible sand, losing the bonding agent that kept that geopolymer together prior, right?
And it's just everywhere, right? Like, look at this. It's everywhere. It's all got the same look.
And from a geological point, it doesn't make sense with the erosion of like, oh, the rocks on top, that's why it didn't erode down, was that hard layer there. But it's like, well, if that hard layer was everywhere, why did it suddenly disappear in 3/4 of the area and only remain in those specific areas that look like ruins of buildings?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the old, like soft stone, hard stone thing, and then the wind, right? It's just done, but like this, I mean, they would tell us that, oh, well, this stuff that remains is just the harder material, right? And whatever was in between was softer, and it just got blown away or washed away by water, and we get left with this. But that doesn't, I mean, come on. I mean, what is this? And it's got a tree growing in it, man.
Right, like that definitely.
And it is.
Stellium 7 would love your opinion, Mike. And Mike, I will get your email. If you're still watching right now, I will get your email from Campbell after this is done, because I do need to email you, good Stellium 7 sir. And right, so where's this? Is this?
This is apparently, this was marked as the Badlands.
In Medicine Hat?
I don't know what the name was, but basically the Medicine one,
Still in Alberta. Wow.
So look at all these holes.
Like that definitely looks
some big
like
rock sticking out of the ground.
Pyramidal castle structure made of geopolymer on the base and then eroded at the top. Like, look at that. It looks like doors and windows. Like,
look at
levels.
this. See this? It's not the best resolution, but see how it looks like a big chunk's fallen out of here, and it's now on the ground.
And to the left there, those different lines, like what looks like window cave sort of things.
And over here, there's a few, and there's this kind of archway. So
That
yeah,
would be
we'll be
fascinating if
expecting a
that's
documentary,
actually on
Danny.
there.
But this is the whole kind of landscape, right? It's just so barren looking, and look at all these smashed. There's tons of smashed, like what we, I think is all this smashed up rock everywhere. It's just everywhere. But they've all got this look. It's all the same. This kind of weird, melty look, isn't it?
Right, and
that?
the geological layers too. Yeah, just a square full of right angles, cave block right there. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Oh no, nothing to see here. Oh, here's that map that I think Paul was talking about. So I think you can overlay this on Google, but this is all the ley lines. So yeah, we'll have to get into sort of checking out where the stars and things are in comparison to different ley lines. But there you go. So this is a couple of pics. Whoops, where are we? So pretty interesting stuff out there.
And then also supposedly those big balls are also there.
The balls.
These guys.
Have they got some there? Have they?
Supposedly this picture is
yeah.
also
You've got the photos.
same valley area.
That's okay. I've got them too. I didn't know they were from up there as well. I mean, what are they? And again, Mike, do you think are these some kind of seed from like megalithic trees?
Right.
Because there's some that are cracked open, aren't they? And they've got like a smaller ball inside. Have you those ones? Let me have a look and see if I've got them.
Sorry.
This is the problem with having two computers, man.
And for reference, this is the area that we were just looking at, the ground pictures of the Medicine Hat Badland Guardians, and the area that I'm going to be going to exploring in the first weekend of October to verify these ancient structures, monuments, and the geoglyphs around them.
Yeah, have to definitely go to the Medicine Head face and see if there's a cave where its nostril should be. I think that should be first on the agenda.
There's definitely going to be some sort of evidence. And yeah, look at that nostril right there. It looks like there's an indentation in a cave. Or maybe in the mouth, or possibly earlobe. This guy looks like in the eye, or up top there on the helmet, there's a rectangle, maybe could be.
On the back there. Yeah.
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 Very, very interesting areas that
Bernie, amazing. I have a feeling I had something else to show, but I have no idea what.
Was it the Grand Canyon Pyramid Complex, or no, something else?
Oh, I may have forgotten to get that.
No worries.
How are we going for time? 1:30. We can have a quick look at Google Earth if you want.
Sure. Why not?
If you got
hopefully, I messaged Paul. Hopefully, he's able to come back in. If not, after the Google, we'll play one last clip of Paul's and end it at the 2-hour mark, if that sounds good. Or do you have to get running sooner?
Good.
You're a busy man today, Mr. Campbell, aren't you? No, don't you have another 2 interviews?
I am. Yep. I'm a busy man every day. Lots to do. Okay, so let me share screen. So we are on the Earth of Google's. And what did you say? Jersey Island, right?
Yeah, Jersey Island. For Paul to check out. It's
Where's that?
on the channel there. It's part of the UK, but it's closer to the shores of France.
All right. Oh, nice. Look at that. See that big star in the middle there? Or one of those funny shaped stars.
Apparently, some
old
of
world.
Europe's, as told, a couple of Europe's oldest cathedrals are apparently on this island as well. Oh, definitely remnants of the starport there.
Yeah, down there, yeah. Like everywhere, right? Here's more. Hear that? Just, you know, why not build it on a rock out near the ocean? That's another one that's turned into a harbour. Wow, man. It's a big farming. Oh, is this, I guess this is where, because is it Jersey cows? Is that what Jersey's famous for? There's a lot of farming going on out here in Jersey. Definitely old world. Now, where is the cathedral? You come in here, it should be in here somewhere, right? Cathedral. Is that one? No, that's McDonald's. Oh my God. Don't know where the cathedral is. So that's pretty cool. I should put a marker there, shouldn't I? All right. So that's, again, and that's just on an island, man. We find these stars on so many islands. And then if we come up here.
Hello.
Oh. Is that it there? Yeah.
I just had the weirdest.
Oh.
Campbell?
Are you there? You're cutting in and out. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I had to log back in from my phone. There was a weird power surge and cut and read. I don't know what the heck it was. Power went out for like 2 seconds and like reset everything and turned everything off in my entire house.
Gosh, what is going on today?
Yeah.
We've all been cut off today. Where's the grand hole? What's down here? Where are we? California here? Is this where it is? Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon?
Oh,
the corner of Utah, California, Colorado, I think, like the Four Corners area, Arizona.
Yeah.
There you go. We found it.
That's the log. That's the river. That thing. So the story is this river, this line going through it, eroded the whole canyon. The biggest hole in the world.
Right? Like it's just so ridiculous. How did it erode all of these square corners through it and all of the canyons that are branched off of the main Colorado River through it? It makes zero sense.
It's, oh God, it's just like a massive badland, isn't it? Look at it. It's like this big scar of nothing living. Like, do you know whereabouts all the temples and stuff are? What's that?
What is the area called? I had it loaded on my computer before everything just shut off and restarted. There's like a main lookout point and camp, ranger camp, I think that it's around, but I couldn't tell you specifically on.
It's actually quite grand. Oh,
Well, that's grand.
what's that? Something's buzzing.
That was Paul
Oh, that's the
messaging.
Grand
So
Canyon. Oh, okay. So what do you reckon? Let's see if there's a fort in Guatemala.
All right, I'm back with my computer so I can hear what Paul said.
Oh. Okay, so here we are, Guatemala. Any star forts? Does it? Well, that's a bit disappointing, Guatemala. Is that a bay? No, here. Oh, are you still there, Bern? Or have you gone again?
Yes, I
Am I
am.
still here?
Yeah, I just was reading Paul's message and talking to him, and he apologizes that his phone died and that he won't be able to rejoin today. But
Yeah.
he absolutely enjoyed it all, loves everybody here, and wants to do a part 2 as soon as possible, which I told him 100%
Oh,
we're going to get done.
no, but we're just starting to get into the interesting stuff. Bloody hell.
Right? That's what he said. He's like,
Technology, man.
I felt it was just getting good.
Man, there's not many people living in the Bahamas, is there? Look at this
Right,
place.
like,
It's just like this big. What's going on here? What the hell is that?
tidal area, maybe.
Nice water, though.
But
Owens Town. Still
and
would be nice. I
the
wonder if there's cheap
possibility
land
that
in
maybe
what is
these
it, the
islands
Bahamas.
could have been man-made as well, kind of like Malta and the other ones at one point, and then maybe some major waves came through, or earthquakes, or volcanoes, or whatever it was, tsunami that wiped a lot of it out a few 500 years ago, or 1,000 when that last reset cataclysm cycle happened.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost see this is almost, you know, like it would have been joined up, right? It's like it's the top of. Is that deep water? It's hard to work out what this picture is. Thanks, Google.
No, that looks like very, very shallow.
Purple.
So it would have been one giant area.
Shallow, yeah. So this would have been. So that would have been, yeah, exactly. This would have been one big landmass, and we're left with kind of these outskirts with, and most of them are built up. They've got all these star forts and things on them. Let's have a look. Is there one here? Oh, it's a golf course. So no doubt there used to be a star fort there.
Indeed.
Oh, come on. Where are they?
That's
doing. What even is that? Is that
just such
got a
weird
name.
terrain? And how is it like these sand reefs, sort of like low island? Even how would that have developed? You know, with the current geologic theory, you know, crustal displacement. It's like this. How would that have risen up and sustained the sand just above the water and whatnot? You'd think it just would have been washed away, essentially.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that wind over time can like wear down mountains and cliffs and rocks and that, but it can't blow, you know, a meter of sand off from an island.
Exactly.
Under their story, yeah, all these islands should have been blown back into the ocean, right? Or slowly eroded away by the tides. You know, all these silly sort of stories we get. But when you look at what's actually out here, none of it makes sense. What is this place, man? There's so much free land out here. I want to move to here.
And the overall shape of it kind of resembles and looks like Madal, the one we checked out before there. And
what's this?
Just a beach house.
Yeah, there's one house here. Oh, there's a few there, but look at all these lines. There's nothing there. But look at all the lines.
Yeah, it looks like the former layout of a city township for sure. Mass settlement that used to be there.
Wasn't it? Up here as well. Well, no, there's an airport or something there, but I mean, it doesn't account for these lines. That's weird.
Very strange stuff. Looks like it used to be a lot larger.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this would have been probably one massive island, right?
Yeah. Indeed.
And now they just get these little bits and pieces. And of course, I mean, look at this picture we get from Google, man. Did they just say Atlantis? Oh, Antilles. I mean, what's this? I mean, come on, this is not. It looks like someone's got a Crayola texture and just like done a border.
Right?
Doesn't it? It's just, and this, look at the pixelation in it. They've like over pixelated. And down here we're not allowed to look, but there's all these, you know,
like
these little bumps
massively
everywhere.
Covered up and smeared from what used to be, like, is that the Bimini Road right there? What's that massive thing? And this is the north side of Cuba, on right next to Cuba there, yeah.
So Jamaica, yeah, Cuba there, right on the side of Cuba.
And then somewhere around Cuba here below it is that massive pyramid city too that was found. I think that's on the northwest side.
Probably in this blurred out area.
Like all sorts of ridiculous, strange stuff around there.
Sort of northwest.
Yeah, I believe it was around that area.
Up here somewhere. See, there's all this strange stuff. And look at these. Look at, so that's a long way, that big line in the ground, isn't it? It's probably down here, I would think, the pyramid things. It's probably these. But of course, you know, I'm not allowed to look, right? So I wonder what they actually know, what they can say. Oh, the Cayman Islands.
It's quite documented.
Wow,
Google Earth
and how
removed and hit a bunch of the areas, the sea floors around this area, scrubbing all of the ooh parts and underwater ruins.
And look at this. This is mad. This is, apart from the fact is, how come this one little tiny island is seriously populated and half of the other ones just have no one there? Look at all these man-made canals.
Surviving right on the edge of that massive trench and like deep cliff, like deep ocean right below it, right? Like look at that. How, like, that is a mass trench that's probably like a couple kilometers deep, like, and then
yeah, man.
It just
I wonder what's on the side here that they've blanked out. See, I mean, look at this. This is completely blanked out and not there. But why would you be making man-made canals when this is an island, right? They build canals so people can live on the water. Look how much space is here for waterfront properties. That's just, I don't know, I find that weird because look, they're everywhere. Look at all these canals.
Very strange stuff.
This is very strange. And I mean, yeah, you'd have to like ship a bloody digger out there to dig them.
Thank you, BB.
But it's very strange. So there we go. I want to go to all these places, man. Key West, isn't there a big road that goes out there? Oh, okay. There's a naval bay out there.
BB donated $5. Thank you so much.
Right.
And he's saying to check
thank
out
you very much.
Ochakiv area of Ukraine. I found more of the star wall picking up around that area, so I will definitely save this and make sure
What
that
area?
we do.
What area?
Oshavkiv area, OCHAKIV or KIV, sorry.
Ukraine, was it?
Yes, sir.
Ukraine, oh yeah, Oclavia, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, got him. All right. All right, is that the right area? Where are we?
Yeah, that's in Ukraine.
Wow,
That's right around the
down there.
Dnieper River. Yeah, so that'd be the start along the Black Sea. Amazing. So this would be the start of it. So going up from this area somewhere. So this is on the coast. I think that going northeast from this area is where we'd probably find it going up.
Can we see any canals up here? So this whole region is, I think, okay, it's probably a region that's taking me to a city, is it? Excuse me.
This area is
What is that?
That is probably a trench from the war right now in this whole area. This is the heart of the battleground.
See all these lines under the ground?
Yeah, those are most likely modern day trenches from the Russia-Ukraine war. This area is literally the front line. Ooh, thank you, Lady Locks, as well for the $20 donation. And Lady Locks was mentioning that she might have found the story behind the Starfort wall. Look up Varangius trade route to the Greeks, and that she read a Greek story here that mentioned and described what sounded like a traveler trader going along the Starfort wall, or what we're calling the Great Wall of Tartaria. But this would have been ancient Greek, so that would have made it at least a couple to few thousand years old that this story would have been recorded and documented, this wall being several thousand years old minimum.
Nice. We'll save that name. To check
Absolutely.
that out.
Taking pictures. And thank you, CJ, DV, MMAC, PMG, my PMG brother from Project Moongold, New Zealand brother, for another $20 donation. Thank you, everybody, for the donations rolling in. Much appreciated.
Now we can pay our bill now.
Much love, Paul. Thank you for joining us today. And we will most certainly be doing a part 2 within the next week or two, because I feel it got cut a little bit short. And that was just awesome.
Oh, yes. I mean, I almost at the 2 hours, and I wasn't being very successful there on Google Earth. Not one star. Oh, actually, we did find one, didn't we? In Jersey.
Indeed. But we saw a couple of others.
Keep adding.
So,
we did see some other cool stuff. So 290 of you still watching. Thank you all so much for spending some time with us. We will be back on Tuesday with our regular Autodidactic Alchemy show, and we will be back with Paul, and that'll be probably whenever, because we've got to do the old trying times. That's what I'm going to call it. Trying times.
The trying times.
3 time zones.
3 different sides of this realm connecting at once.
Indeed. And thank you for everyone for your super chats. Muchly appreciated. And I'm going to be back in like 2.5 hours for another live with Stuffed Beagle, and we're going to be doing some mud flooding. We haven't had a look at, a bit of a lot of good mud flood stuff for a while, so that should be a good show. So make sure you come and join, guys. Anything else you got there to say, Mr. Byrne?
Very nice. Yes, I've gotten a hold of Jared Booster as well. Talking to him, emailed him earlier today, so we will be having Jared Booster on an upcoming episode as well in the next couple of weeks. And I will finally also work things out to have Harry Hubbard on for our Is North America Egypt Part 2 episode as well. So there is a lot of things in the works coming up, a lot of good episodes that we have. So poor Campbell, it's never ending. And my next episode tomorrow, I'm doing a stream with some electrical engineering, some really cool coil stuff. And Saturday is the next APEC, and I will be doing the APEC stream all day long. And it's my first APEC now that I have the honor of my own segment that I'm now going to be presenting low energy nuclear reactions, LENR, aka cold fusion topics, and basically my alchemy stuff, but also everybody else in the fields, stories and progress, and looking forward to that. So ridiculousness, it never ends. I love you all.
Never ends, but what would you do if it did end? You'd just be sitting there bored. So, I mean, come on. Gotta do something.
Why not teach yourself and learn with us all? Make sure you subscribe to Paul Cook channel, Paul Cook 2, Autodidactic, Autodidactic 2, Spiral Up, Burn Eye, The Mind's Third Eye, A Science Guy, and Crypto Alchemist. And on that note, I guess we got to do a Brucey bonus for the spirit of Paul.
A Brucey bonus.
So quickly play
Brucey bonus.
His 3-minute what are ley lines in 3 minutes video. 5 minutes. 5 more minutes.
There you go. Here's your Brucey bonus. Was that good? No, sorry, Paul.
Andy, don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to share the granny out of this video. This is ley lines in 5 minutes. We're winning the war. Let's go. Right, the Earth's grid. The world grid, or the Earth grid, is the theory that our ancestors purposely constructed their monuments on energy lines that, when mapped and connected, create a significant pattern. Some sort of energy web. The whole idea of the world grid is that the Earth is like a huge crystal where the energy flows around it and its nodules. Energy paths intersect and move all over the world. Ley lines are straight alignments drawn between various historical structures and prominent landmarks.
Love to have you on, brother.
In early 20th century Europe, with the ley line believers arguing that these alignments were recognised by ancient societies that deliberately erected structures on top of them. Since 1960, members of the Earth Mysteries movement and other esoteric traditions have commonly believed that such ley line democrat Earth energies and serve as guides for alien spacecraft. Archaeologists and scientists regard ley lines as an example of pseudo-archaeology and pseudoscience. If it is pseudo-archaeology, blinking Nora. What a good guess these cats have got, these ancestors, eh? I hope I've got their genetics, because without no lasers and high-tech stuff to do this stuff, how do you know where you're putting foundations for these places? I mean, without the special equipment, how would you even know that there is energy on these spots? Now look at this map. This map, and it has the two lines that are going over it like squiggles, and where these points meet are the sacred sites. So I'm going to follow St Mary and St Michael, and we're going to go to England. Let's have a little look what's on the sites. Stretching some 350 kilometres from the far west of Cornwall to the east coast of Norfolk, the Michael and Mary line is probably the most famous ley line in the world, also known as the St Michael alignment. Some of Britain's most sacred sites are situated on this, as well as numerous megaliths and churches dedicated to either St Michael or St George, the dragon slayers, and St Mary, the Christianized earth goddess. See, now you know. That's how churches, or some of the churches, got their names, and some of the monuments. So let's have a look at some monuments on top of these ley lines. Tor looks like a pyramid covered up. And also, if you look at Malvern, which a ley line runs through, they look like the pyramids of Giza covered in mud. But not only that, these lines are incorporated into streets in Washington. And obviously, if you look at churches, these symbols are all over churches, all over them. And with that being said, that just proves that churches were originally not designed for religious stuff. They were for energy purposes, healing or harvesting. I don't know, but I'm going to work it out. I mean, if you're not convinced now, all you've got to do is look at this map, look at Azores in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and then you've got to ask, why is there a pyramid built in the bottom of the ocean? Around 7 years ago, in 2013, Portuguese news channels reported an interesting discovery. Supposedly, there's a huge underwater pyramid between the islands of Sá and Miguel and Terriqua in the Azores Islands. The underwater pyramid has a perfect shape and it's been faced by the cardinal spots, just like the Great Giza pyramid, north, south, east, and west. So it's very strange, but there's undeniable proof. All you have to do is download a map with the ley lines on, overlay it, but not even that, and just go along, follow the line and follow the monuments. I think it's incredible. And I think this is something that's completely hidden from us. These pyramids were generating energy or storing energy. The churches were healing us. It's all been taken away from us. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And try and do your own homework. Follow one of these lines. See what you can find on them. Because I guarantee you'll find monuments, megaliths, and all sorts of stuff. And you might even find something no one's ever found before. Anyway, that was ley lines in 5 minutes. I hope that give you a little understanding. One love, guys. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
All right. And Dutch Sense, please, I'd love to find out how to contact you and have you on one of our shows, good sir, as you are a YouTube legend and the work you do on detecting and predicting earthquakes is like no other. You are the world's best, I would say. And I could only imagine what you have found on Google Earth and other things over the years looking and investigating. Yeah, Micronesia, the Pentagon, like Nan Madol was a Pentagon. There's probably a few more.
Yeah.
Please let me know how to contact you, Dutch.
Yeah. Definitely. There's probably an email below here. If not, I'm sure Bernie's got one on his channel. So yeah, send us an email somewhere along the line, please, Dutch Synth, and we'll get you on and have a chat. All right.
Absolutely.
2 hours and 8 minutes. So I'm going to go and have a rest for an hour and a half, and then I'll be back. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thanks, Paul. We'll be back with Paul in a few weeks. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be back in an hour and a half. Bernie will be back on the weekend. Basically, we're never leaving, guys. You cannot get rid of us, even if you want to.
Forever in the interweb.
So we're in the interwebs. We're in the ether. So thank you for joining us. Have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.